Mason G, is there a specific way one may lay out and or create a trail of evidence in order for a detective to follow? That's a great question. I've not yet done, I think, a video on detective stories, which honestly I probably should. This is like definitely a reverse engineer type stuff, right? Because, oh gosh, if I can remember it, like deductive versus inductive reasoning is different. To deduce something is, which is like detective work largely, is to take a lot of information and distill it down into something singular. And inductive reasoning is to take a very small amount of information and make it bigger, extrapolated, right? And a lot of the times detective deduce things, right? So Sherlock Holmes was deductive. But if you want to bring your reader on a deductive journey, right, you need to understand like where the end of the journey is. That's different for, you know, every single story. I can't give you specifics on that. But once you figure out like where the end of your journey is, as far as kind of like the mystery that you want, you need to think of like logical steps based upon the end point that would make sense as clues for a person to follow. And again, I can't really like get specific about it because like I don't know the story. It's just so different from like story to story. But that's how I would think, like first understanding where you want to end, like reverse engineer things, and then figure out like what stuff was imperfect in the execution of whatever my character did, whatever, if it's the villain or whatever it is. I guess Death Note is like a great example. Like literally, I think it's like the first or the second episode. It seems from like a reader or like a consumer's perspective, like a watcher's perspective, that there would be no way to catch a light or any way to even figure out like where he is. But when you actually hear L break down how he found him, he's like, oh yeah, you've only been killing people in Japan. And not only have you been killing people in Japan, you've been killing people in like this prefecture, and this thing that you did here didn't match these other things. And these killings were close enough together that I'm guessing like you just started out killing this way, right? It's that kind of stuff. It's like pattern recognition, and it's the little things, the flaws in the execution of whatever, you know, it is being deduced, is being like, you know, investigated, that you have to drip feed to both your characters and the reader or the audience. Because if you don't know where it's going, and I'm talking about like specifically, like you have to think out everything, because if you don't know those things, then you can't expect to create a story based around the deduction of those things. So hopefully that helps.